So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. In this video, I want to address something that's on everyone's mind. They're starting an agency from scratch and they just can't figure out how they're actually going to get their first client. Now, just to tell you how I closed my first client back in 2019-20, when I just got started with running my own agency and was a 100% newbie on how the entire thing with running an agency works and acquiring clients. What I did to actually close my first or even my couple first clients was I was just blasting people on Instagram DMs. So in the start, I had literally nothing but an Instagram account, no website, no previous experience. I didn't even have a company registered. All I had was this Instagram account that had a logo that I created, a name, and a bio, and that's it. I don't even remember if I had any pictures uploaded. It was just a bare empty Instagram account. And what I did for a 2-month span was just blasting people on Instagram in different niches. So what I would do each and every morning is I would hop on Instagram and just start sending tons and tons of DMs. What I would do is I would search for a specific niche, so it could be nail salons or car dealerships, and I would just blast each niche one by one. And the funny thing is I actually got banned so many times during this period because Instagram has I think it's a 50 to 100 DM limit, and when you reach that limit or surpass it, they ban you for a certain amount of time. And at least at that time, Instagram didn't notify you when they lifted the ban. So what I would do is I would just sit on my phone and just try to send over DMs, and the error pop-up would just continue to show up, and I would click away and try again in 5 minutes to send over a DM and just wait until that ban would go away. And eventually I knew exactly how many DMs I could send, how much I needed to wait to send over the next batch. And this is all before marketing automation was mainstream, so I did all of this manually. And I'll put up the DMs on the screen if I can find them. And yeah, it was a pretty wild period. The first client that I actually managed to close over Instagram DMs was a production company in my local town of Sweden, and I actually closed them for free. And the reason I closed it for free was because I thought that I just have to get it over with and have something that I can reference to and add to my portfolio. And after that, I managed to close an accounting firm, and I believe I closed them for about $500. And at that time, I was over the moon. They actually got my first paid client. The client after that was a friend's parent, and I closed that on about $250, so it was a step back. But after that, I closed a client for $1,000, and it was a personal trainer in my local town of Sweden yet again. And I was going crazy that I even managed to close a client for $1,000. Remember, I went from doing work for free to actually closing a client for $1,000. All of this happened through Instagram DM. And that last client that I mentioned was the last client that I closed over Instagram DMs. But if I had to start over from scratch, God forbid, and I knew what I knew today, I would have done things completely differently. And that's why I'm going to try to teach you in this video and just tell you what I would have done if I had to go back and get my first client. If you're just starting off and you want to know how you can close your very first client, stay in this video because I'm going to walk through step by step what I would have done to lock in my first client if I also had to start over from scratch. So number one thing that you have to think about is the only way to get a client in the beginning is either if you run ads or if you do cold outreach. And there's so many tried and tested methods on how you can do effective cold outreach, and I'll just list a couple of them. So you can do what I did in the beginning and just blast people on Instagram DMs. You have LinkedIn, which is literally a place filled with people running businesses. You can do cold calling, and cold calling is a controversial one. A lot of people hate cold calling, but at the same time, it's the one outreach method that is the most effective. The only caveat is that you really have to put yourself out there, get on the phone and actually talk with people. And the last one is actually going outside and knock on the doors of brick and mortar companies and try to pitch them in real life. This is actually something that I did also in the beginning. I tried to pitch people in real life. It was super hard. And at that time, I really had no experience. I was so lost in how you actually do anything when it comes to business. But when you do cold outreach, and I see a lot of people do this mistake, is they completely disregard the balance between volume and also quality. To be blunt, cold outreach is a game of numbers. So the more you do, the more you increase the chances of getting replies or close a sale. But if you don't have a good balance with quality and doing your homework and personalizing your outreach, you can expect near to zero results, unless you're very, very lucky. And the way that you can actually do your homework and personalize your outreach is try to at least Google the companies that you're reaching out to. Click on the news tab and try to read up on the latest press release and see what's new with the company. So when you actually get on a call or send over email, you can inject this information. And just like that, you're now resonating a lot more with the person you're reaching out to. versus if you're just sending over a generic copy paste script to every prospect that you're reaching out to. And just an example, I'll put it up on the screen. I get about 20 cold emails a day where you literally can see that people are just copy and pasting scripts and sending it to everyone. And being an agency that does ads and Webflow development, I literally get people that try to pitch me ad services and web development services, which tells me that they haven't even visited our website. They've just scraped us off the web somewhere and just sent over an email. The second thing that you have to think about is put your fee on par with your value. So let's be honest, if you're just starting out, your value is close to none. You can't just charge a premium fee right out of the gate. You have to start somewhere. And just as I mentioned in the beginning, I started off with doing free work, which led up to me signing a client for 500, then 1,000, and today we're signing clients everywhere from 5,000 to 15K. But I started absolutely from zero and just worked my way up. And if you're now willing to do anything for free, at least put a very low fee for your first client so we can get some testimonials and get some work to reference to. So in the beginning, be genuine and be flexible with pricing. Don't be stubborn. Don't listen to these online gurus that tell you that you should charge premium prices right off the gate, because it's not going to work. It's just going to be a huge bottleneck and you will find yourself never getting a client. So that's basically what I would have done if I, God forbid, had to start over from scratch. Cold outreach. Strike a balance between volume and quality / personalization in my outreach methods. Start off just as I did by offering free or very low fee on your services just to get you started and up and running. And getting that first client, that's the biggest step of starting an agency. Once you get that first client, you start understanding how to actually run your agency. That's the first step of learning the entire process of running a real agency. And in a future video, I'll probably be going through concrete examples of how we actually do cold outreach on different channels. I show you a real live call when I'm on a call and closing a client, and a lot more. But if you're just getting started with the agency and you're just scratching your head on how to get that first client, this video is solid. And if you actually take action and implement this stuff, you will get your first client within at least the first 2 months, if not the first month. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.